Alright, so Dead Rails throws a crazy lineup of creatures at you. And honestly, what you're dealing with can mean the difference between surviving and becoming another dead body scattered around the wasteland. This guide covers every major entity hunting you down, including their stats, behaviors, and how to survive encounters with them. Each entry includes health, damage, speed, and spawn locations to help you prepare for what's coming. Normal zombies, the most common threat you'll face, spawning everywhere and emerging from abandoned buildings at night. These shambling corpses have green rotting skin, drooling faces, and wear basic clothing from their former lives. With only 100 health, 15 damage output, and a pathetic 16 walk speed, they're the weakest zombies in the game, but make up for it in sheer numbers. Use the classic backpedal and swing technique with a shovel, or blast groups with a shotgun when you're feeling confident. They're surprisingly useful as emergency train fuel early in the game, though they can jump onto moving trains, which gets annoying fast. Later nights spawn hundreds at once, creating overwhelming swarms, but they're manageable as long as you avoid getting trapped indoors. Overall rating of 8 out of 10 because they're a reliable fuel source and stay predictably weak throughout the game. Runner zombies. Take everything you know about normal zombies and make them 60% faster, and you'll understand why these things are genuinely threatening. They spawn under the same conditions as normal zombies, but move at 25 walk speed, making traditional backpedaling completely useless since they're actually faster than your walking speed. Despite having identical health and damage to normal zombies at 100 and 15 respectively, that speed boost changes the entire dynamic of encounters. Mount a horse and you can easily outrun them along with every other hostile entity in the game. Their main danger comes from sneaking up from behind when you're distracted, and there's a high chance one or two will catch you off guard and potentially end your run early if you're not prepared. Overall rating of 4 out of 10 because they're pure annoyance with their relentless pursuit. Banker zombies. These distinguished undead are found only around banks and towns, wearing black top hats, formal tuxedos, and sporting elegant white beards. Despite their refined appearance, they fight with standard zombie stats of 100 health, 15 damage, and 16 walk speed. What makes them special is the 5-digit code they drop when killed, which opens bank vaults containing gold and silver bars that make the fight totally worth it. If you're able to find multiple banks in one town, try the code on different vaults since the first one might not work. Unfortunately, they're plagued by some of the worst bugs in the game, where they'll fall into the sky along with their precious code. The code drops through floors, or they spawn inside the vault itself. When these glitches happen, you're stuck between using torches and dynamite to blast open banks. Overall rating of 6 of 10 because the gold and silver rewards are excellent when they work properly, but the persistent bugs make them incredibly frustrating. Ironclad Zombies. These extremely rare armored zombies have only a 5% spawn chance wherever normal zombies appear, meaning you can play entire rounds without encountering one. They look like regular zombies wearing nearly complete armor sets, but they're actually less threatening than standard zombies with their slower 14 walk speed while maintaining the same 100 health and 15 damage. The armor provides slight resistance to ranged weapons and makes headshots less effective, but the protection is so minimal it barely matters. You can target their unarmored limbs for bonus damage, making the armor largely pointless. The cruel irony is having this super rare zombie wrapped in armor that doesn't really work, and they're among the slowest entities in the game. They're mysteriously absent from the castle despite the medieval setting, which makes their rarity even more pointless. Dynamite Zombies. These kamikaze zombies are walking bombs identifiable by their mining helmets, worn miner uniforms, and the dynamite they constantly carry. They spawn with the same 5% rarity as Ironclads unless you venture into their sterling mines where they appear frequently. Starting with 100 health and 25 walk speed, their speed drops to 16 once their fuse lights up, but their explosion damage varies dramatically from 1 damage at safe distances to a devastating 300 damage if you're caught in the blast. The crucial detail is that killing them doesn't stop the explosion. that dynamite is going off regardless of what you do. They have longer aggression range than other zombies, making them especially dangerous. I recommend using ranged weapons only, and never attempt melee combat. If you're incredibly fast, you can kill one and immediately store it to prevent explosion. But don't bother trying to reanimate them since their dynamite remains lethal even after revival. Overall rating 1 out of 10 because they're absolutely lethal and unpredictable. Sheriff Zombies. These rare undead lawmen are armed with 6-shooter revolvers and wear black cowboy hats with sheriff uniforms. They have the same 100 health as other zombies, but move at a slow 8 walk speed while dealing 30 damage with body shots and potentially higher damage on headshots. Their aim is terrible, but even a few successful hits will end your run permanently. Never charge directly at them with melee weapons unless you want to become another statistic. The safest approach involves retreating to your train cabin and engaging with whatever melee weapon you've collected, or running in zigzag patterns to throw off their aim when caught in the open. They have above average aggression range, meaning you could be running to safety and suddenly find yourself under gunfire from much further away than expected. Overall rating 3 out of 10 because they have good outfit design, but are genuinely dangerous early in the game. Zombie Soldiers. These military zombies spawn from 3 barracks at Fort Constitution when ominous music starts playing. 2 variants exist: soldiers in khaki uniforms wielding navy revolvers or cavalry swords, and those in shirts carrying firearms or fighting with bare hands. They pack 100 health, moving at 16 to 25 walk speed, and deal anywhere from 15 to 45 damage depending on their weapon choice. If this is your first time entering Fort Constitution unprepared, stockpile Robux for multiple respawns because you're going to die repeatedly. Come heavily prepared with tons of bandages and forget about using melee weapons since you'll get brutally overwhelmed by large groups. When using ranged weapons, aim for legs or heads because shots hitting their guns can deflect due to weird hitbox issues. Even after clearing the fort, more soldiers spawn outside and ride in on horses to catch you off guard. Overall rating of -10 out of 10 because they'll burn through your Robux during first encounters and can return later as butcher zombies. Captain Prescott. This is the primary target of Fort Constitution, distinguished by his military cap, black mustache, and cavalry sword. His backstory runs deep. On February 6, 1898, he received orders to hold Agent 15 bioweapon shipments until a carrier picked them up for the USS Maine. 10 days later, he was ordered to burn all prior telegraphs about Agent 15, but apparently wasn't happy about dealing with bioweapons and ignored the order completely. This caused a $150 bounty to be placed on his head, and he eventually turned into a zombie along with Garrison. Despite being the most wanted individual with such significant lore importance, his combat stats are genuinely underwhelming at 100 health, 16 walk speed, and 30 damage. When you destroy him, he drops a key to the supply depot containing a cannon, ammunition, and bonds. The guns, ammo, and $150 bounty almost make their Robux investment worth it, but he's disappointing for someone so important to the story. Scientist Zombies. These are literally just runner zombies wearing lab coats with identical stats of 100 health, 15 damage, and 25 walk speed. They exclusively spawn at Tesla Lab after you pull the lever to summon Nikola Tesla, which turns the night stormy and causes them to spawn one by one inside and outside the lab. The optimal strategy involves staying in the lever room and killing them as they approach your position. According to the lore, these scientist zombies were Tesla's former workers who helped develop the bioweapon Agent 15, but failed to restore Tesla to peak condition until the player activated his revival process. Overall rating of 0 out of 10 because they're just reskinned runner zombies that make blood moon encounters even more nightmarish. Vampires. Currently broken entities that only spawn during blood moons inside the castle, featuring pale skin, jet black hair, sleek black tuxedos, and scarlet pendants around their necks. They used to teleport behind players every few seconds without warning, which was annoying but at least made them unique. Now they have maybe the biggest bug of all time, effectively making them useless since the teleportation doesn't work at all. Without their signature ability, vampires are just normal zombies with slightly more health at 150, dealing 15 damage, and moving at 16 walk speed. Overall rating of 0 out of 10 until the teleportation bug gets fixed and they become actual vampires again. Werewolves. These 10-foot tall beasts run on pure malice and are easily the strongest regular entities besides Tesla and the Easter Bunny. With 500 health, 25 walk speed, and 40 damage output, they're genuinely formidable opponents that sell for $20 when defeated. You can encounter them during the full moons when approximately 1,000 spawn at the castle, or in desert wolf packs where they have a 10% chance of replacing regular wolves. Despite their intimidating stats and massive size, they aren't as difficult as you'd expect. Mount a horse and shoot them with a shotgun repeatedly until they drop, taking advantage of the fact they can't climb on the trains. They have the best pathfinding AI in the game, meaning they won't mindlessly run to walls like other entities. Overall rating of 10 out of 10 because they lead to hilarious moments and are genuinely profitable when handled correctly. Skeletons. Complete reskins of normal zombies with zero meaningful differences, found in sterling mines wearing mining helmets and carrying pickaxes. There's also one peaceful skeleton on Unicorn Island just lying on a bed. Active skeletons use the exact same sound effects as normal zombies, making them completely redundant entities with identical stats of 100 health, 15 damage, and 16 walk speed. Overall rating of a negative 1,000 out of 10 because they're the only entity that could be completely removed from the game and absolutely nothing would change. Wolves. These desert animals spawn in packs of 2 to 5 members with a 10% chance to transform into werewolves. They have 100 health, 20 walk speed, and deal 15 damage while being the smallest entities in the game, preventing them from climbing onto trains. Wolves can be tamed by dragging corpses over to them and letting them feed until they become loyal allies. After taming several, you could have an army of 10 wolves stored and ready for release whenever needed. Getting a wolf army proves useful for overwhelming enemies, including Tesla himself, until he strikes them down with lightning attacks. Overall rating of 6 out of 10 because they're genuinely useful allies despite their potential to transform into dangerous werewolf counterparts. Horses. Horses are honestly the strongest entities in the game because they're easily accessible and can outrun every single hostile entity that exists. You can find them in groups scattered across tracks and at barns throughout the map, with the easiest acquisition method being killing outlaws or zombie soldiers who are riding them. They have a 1% chance to transform into unicorns, and hostile entities will actively try to kill your horses out of apparent jealousy. Be warned that harmful objects like barbed wire and weapons can damage them, and sometimes they'll get struck by lightning in broad daylight and die instantly even without lightning rods nearby. Horses are so overpowered that they had an entire limited time game mode called Horsing Around, where players spawned as horses. Overall rating of 1 million out of 10 because they're absolutely essential for surviving and have no dangerous counterparts. Unicorns. These are faster, rarer horses with a 1% chance to replace any regular horse, including those ridden by Outlaws. They boost 40 walk speed, making them the fastest entities in the game and can be sold for $250 alive or $150 dead, so capture them immediately when spotted. Using the Cowboy class can potentially get you a unicorn by repeatedly rejoining until you spawn with the one, though depending on your luck, you could be stuck attempting this for 200 tries. Even though their speed makes unicorns the fastest entities available, you should still sell them because a horse is also fast enough. Overall rating of 75 out of 10 because they have excellent benefits but are extremely difficult to find. Outlaws. These hostile humans attack during an active zombie apocalypse, spawning in groups up to 7 across the desert, spawning at Outlaw Town and Outlaw camps. They carry revolvers, sawed-off shotguns or rifles, have 100 health, move at 8 walk speed on foot or 30 on horseback, and deal 30 to 100 damage depending on their weapon. Each outlaw carries a $35 bounty, and Outlaw Town becomes one big ambush where 10 outlaws on foot emerge before you cross the bridge. The easiest elimination method involves sniping from far distances with bolt-action rifles. If they're mounted, don't kill the horses since they're innocent victims in this mess. Also, you could steal them. Overall rating of 3 out of 10 because they're annoying and counterproductive during an ongoing zombie crisis. Soldiers. These are your absolute best friends in the nightmare world, spawning only in fortified towns where they protect against hostile entities. Soldiers in khaki uniforms carry bolt-action rifles, while those in blue shirts operate Maxim guns from town walls. They have 100 health, 8 walk speed, and their damage depends on their weapons. But it doesn't matter since they're always on your side. These allies can take down any hostile entity, including werewolves, which basically becomes free money farming as long as you help them fight. They're not invincible and can be killed, but as long as you're not attacking them yourself and not standing idle, you'll be fine. If you kill friendly soldiers, you deserve whatever bad luck follows since they won't even fight back when attacked. Overall rating of 10 out of 10 because they're genuinely helpful and eliminate werewolves for profit. Nikola Tesla. This is the final boss of Dead Rails, named after the famous Serbian-American engineer. According to the lore, on August 6, 1895, Tesla received funding to develop a bioweapon mimicking yellow fever effects within a year. He completed his prototype ahead of schedule, and the military ordered 100 barrels of the latest version called Agent 15. Things went horribly wrong when Tesla and his workers were exposed to Agent 15 and became zombies, forcing Tesla to have his brain surgically removed and placed in a jar for survival. Tesla has massive stats with 5,800 health, 20 walk speed, 100 damage output, and sells for $300. He attacks using either his arms or Tesla coils that instantly kill anyone without armor. You can respawn him by placing 5 werewolf limbs and his jar brain on a table in a Tesla lab, then pulling a lever that spawns 35 scientist zombies while you fight. The best elimination strategy involves repeatedly dying and respawning if you have Robux, running him over multiple times, or hitting him 250 times with a shovel. Ironically, the electrocutioner weapon trivializes the fight despite him being powered by electricity. Overall rating of 5 out of 10 because he's essentially a werewolf on steroids with interesting backstory. Easter Bunny. This limited time boss was only available during the Extravaganza event from April 18th to the 21st, spawning when you turn the crank to Extravaganza mode. He's the largest entity in the game, standing 3 times taller than Tesla, with absolutely massive stats of 10,000 health, 100 damage, and 15 walk speed, making him by far the hardest entity to defeat. Instead of Tesla coils, he throws Easter eggs that hatch into hostile enemies when they hit the ground. Since he's slow, you can use 3 snake coils to run past entirely and avoid the fight. Ranged weapons work best against him, with holy water being especially effective. Just like Tesla, the electrocutioner can melt the Easter Bunny despite him being the strongest entity in the game. Despite being the most powerful boss, he only sells for $20, which is extremely disappointing. Overall rating of 10 out of 10 because he's absolutely massive and genuinely challenging. Every entity in Dead Rails has specific counters and strategies that can mean the difference between survival and failure. Success comes from preparation, proper equipment selection, and understanding each threat's capabilities and weaknesses. Whether you're facing basic shambling zombies or legendary bosses like Tesla and the Easter Bunny, knowledge and adaptability keep you alive in this hostile wasteland where death lurks around every corner. If you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you'll like this video on the screen right here. Make sure to click it.